Welcome to A Day in Her Life. I'm your host, Ellie Rinnick, and I'm fascinated by how other women get it all done. On today's episode of A Day in Her Life, I sit down with Erin DiMella and Meg Nugent, sisters, moms, and owners of Buggy Box Co, curated craft boxes for creative kids. Meg and Erin take us through their days, how they came up with Buggy Box Co, and how they managed to work together as sisters and moms of busy kids ranging in ages from 7 to 2. We talk about the myth of balance, the power and importance of mom groups, a topic close to my heart, and how they source inspiration for their boxes from their everyday lives with their kiddos. Thank you so much to Meg and Erin for joining me on today's episode. I had so much fun chatting with you, and I'm so excited to try out my Buggy Box with my kiddo. There won't be an episode next week due to the 4th of July, but I will be back on July 11th with a great episode. Thank you again for listening. I started A Day in Her Life out of my own curiosity of how other women get it all done, and I hope you are learning from each other and normalizing our everydays. As Erin and Meg and I discuss in this episode, life is messy, but it's life. If you're feeling inclined, I have a little listener survey on adayinherlife.com, so pop on over and fill it out. All right, now on to the episode. Let's have some fun. All right, welcome to A Day in Her Life podcast. Today, Meg Nugent and Erin DiMella are joining me to discuss a day in their lives. Welcome, Erin and Meg.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. This is my first double episode, so excited to have sisters on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll try not to do where it's like a conference call and everybody's talking and no one knows what to do.
And we'll try to behave too.
Yeah. No promises.
Perfect. No promises on the behavior is fine by me.
Okay.
You already had to separate us this morning.
Awesome. So let's jump right in. If you wouldn't mind, we'll start with you, Erin. Could you set the scene and kind of fill us in on where you live, what you do, and describe your family for us?
Sure. So I'm Erin. My husband, Mike, and I live in the south end of Boston. We have a daughter, Hadley, who's 4, and my son, Nikki, is 2. We love living in the city. It's a constant battle sometimes when we come out here. My sister lives in the suburbs, as she'll tell you and tells me all the time. But that also really helped us like launch our business into like finding the needs of people who live in more compact spaces and people who live in the suburbs. We also have a sailboat. We go sailing almost all summer. We currently have our boat up in Boston right now, so we go on trips anywhere from like a half an hour to we do a 2-week-long sailing trip with our kids.
Wow.
So we have to plan lots of activities and small things that can be reused and easily thrown away and stuff like that. So Buggy Box has been a big part of our travels and our planning for a while now. We also have a dog, Harry, who is not so fond of the sailboat, but he does come along. Yeah, we're city living as long as we can hang, and so far so good. So
awesome. Megan, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you live, what your family looks like, and what you do?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm Meg. My husband Pat and I live in Winchester with our 3 kids. Trip is 7, Tenley is 4, and Levi is 2, almost 3. And we have 2 dogs, Teddy and Goose. Teddy's our old guy. He's going to be 9, and Goose is almost 1. So he's still very much a puppy. Having a puppy with children is very different than when we got Teddy. We didn't have kids yet. So a little bit of a learning curve there. We love Winchester. It's been such a great community. Our kids have made friends. They love school. So we spend some time on the Cape in the summer. That's where Erin and I grew up, but like to stick around here too. Kids are very into sports, golf and swimming and all of that. So we kind of do pool stuff when we're here, beach stuff on the Cape. But with Buggy Box, like Erin said, we do it out of my house. So this is sort of Buggy Box headquarters, but we also have some space on the Cape where we can bring it down there and kind of keep things moving along. And the activities, we love using them together in the summer when we all go out to eat, or that's kind of how we come up with new ideas too, I think, is when any of our kids have a birthday, go to a birthday party, and that's sort of a new piece of the business that we're launching, is more of using our buggy bags as party favors and also activities. And with my kids in particular, their ages, I think we're going to a lot of birthday parties and including a lot of kids and finding ways to make that a little easier for parents because it's always so hard putting together the favors and just time consuming. And as we all know, there's only so much time and every day is different with kids. Somebody's sick or doesn't have school. So we're trying to find ways to make celebrating with your kids easier, especially for moms, busy parents. And that's something that I think when we get together, which is usually 2 to 3 times a week, I would say, to work on Buggy Box, we're trying to find ways to do less of it together so that we can do our separate things that we enjoy as with our families. And it's just the learning curve, I feel like, is just always changing too for us. And, we're really motivated and a kid gets sick or it spirals into two kids are sick and we just have to be able to pivot. And I think that's something from our work histories that's been really helpful for us is, working in fast-paced environments previously, e-commerce, retail, events, nonprofits, we're able to do that. And, I think this company has been exciting for us to put together all of our passions as well as experience into something that we're really excited about.
Awesome. And can you tell us a little bit about how Buggy Box started or kind of when you guys started Buggy Box?
Yeah, so during COVID, I was living in Charlestown with my family, and we love Charlestown. We were there for all three of our kids to be born, actually, and we were needing activities to do with our kids. During COVID, at the beginning, I was also pregnant. So two kids and being pregnant, it was just really challenging. So we were trying to find ways to structure our day. So we kind of came up with some tools to do that. And then we also needed activities to do with them. And so Erin and I were kind of brainstorming on activities like, what did you do today? What worked? What helped you get to lunchtime? I mean, those days were so long. So
Yeah.
we were buying all kinds of stuff in bulk. You can't just go buy a couple pom-poms or pipe cleaners. You have to buy, sometimes hundreds of these things. So we were trying to share some of these components and put together activities that could work. And that's really how Buggy Box started. And then we launched in February of 21, 22, 21.
21.
21. And we just made love bug boxes for friends to try out, see how they liked them, how they used them, and it just kind of started from there. Our first official sales were for St. Patrick's Day. All of the boxes are bug themed. We call our kids our bugs, our love bugs, cuddle bugs, any iteration of that. So there's a bug craft in every box. There are activities to be compassionate and show our kids about compassion, whether it's putting together an activity and sharing with a friend, writing a thank you card in our B-Day box. There's always a jitterbug component, how to celebrate or, sort of have a party. So it might be a festive headband, sunglasses, a mask, jewelry. It might be a craft, it might be an activity. And we're trying to sort of also show parents and caregivers that they can have these boxes on hand or our buggy bags on hand when a grandchild comes over. They can do one of the activities. They could sit down and do a few. If you're having a play date, get a couple and kids can do these activities. You don't have to plan anything. And what Erin and I like to show too is the difference in sort of storing some of these items. Like if you're in, the suburbs, you might have more space to keep a bunch of this stuff in a closet. So maybe you can buy, 10 that you want to save for birthday gifts for kids and have a couple on hand. And then Erin kind of can show where she keeps them in her space, how to organize them, and how to use them with kids in the city, whether it's on your patio, at the park. We often are bringing activities to sports games, in the car, out to eat. So that's sort of where it came from. And it's been evolving as our kids are getting older. And with my son just turning 7, he's interested in some different things that maybe my 4 and 2-year-old are interested in. So also trying to pivot and keep some of these activities age appropriate so he's engaged as well.
I also think one of the big pieces that we got when we initially gave it out to people was that people were like, oh, thank God, because we're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, you're like, oh my God, these parents are just like making these elaborate birthday parties and going crazy. Don't get me wrong, I'm that person. I love a theme. I go all out. I try to do, I make myself sick about how much I can like do. I love that stuff. But so many people are like, the pressure of doing that is like insane. And I just did my daughter's fourth party. If you ask me now, I would say her fifth birthday will be in a park and we're getting like ice cream cones and calling it a day. But check in with me in a year. I don't know. But I think one of the things that happened with the boxes where people are like, here's an activity. I can do something with my kid. It's on a theme. I feel like I've done something for Valentine's Day. I feel like I did something for Christmas or Easter or whatever, that like they can hang up in the house and it's their art and their whatever. And they're not having to like put on this big thing for every holiday. It's like, check it the box. It's done. You don't need to go down the rabbit hole of TikTok, Pinterest worthy, beautiful things. And you can have it all in a simple box that you can also do with or without your kid, that then if you want to at the end, save it if you want. But it's also, we try to use a lot of the stuff that it can either be recycled or thrown away after, and it's not a big deal.
That's awesome. I love that. I also sometimes thinking like, what am I going to do with my kids all day? And having something that you can just grab and go is a great idea. So let's talk about a day in your life. So Erin or Meg, either one, what do your mornings look like, and how do you structure your mornings before you get going for work, or whatever your day looks like on the days that you're not working as much?
Okay, so I would say typical day when we're gonna get together. So we work physically together probably 3 days a week, and the others we fit it in where we can. So I have a nanny 3 days a week from like 8 to 2. So my mornings are my kids waking up anywhere between 6 and 7, coming in, crawling into bed with us, saying good morning, having morning snuggles, basically stalling the start of the day. All 4 of us. We are late people, all of us. Megan can attest to this. Then when we find out that it's like, it's getting a little too close, we should probably get moving, I take the kids downstairs, get them dressed, make something for breakfast. My husband's been doing like pancakes on the weekends or waffles and then storing them in the fridge, which has been such a game changer for us for breakfast.
I do that too. And like they in the freezer, I just grab them out of the freezer all week. It's the best hack.
So great. And then what I've been doing is cutting the waffle into like sticks, giving them a coffee mug, putting syrup in the bottom and sticking the sticks in it. So they just are sitting there. Everything is in the mug. I'm not like refilling syrup. They're on their own. They're usually playing. Magnetiles and the Nugget have been the 2 best products, I think, that my kids love to at least play nicely together in the morning. And then getting them dressed, getting them out the door. The nanny comes at 8 for my son. I'm usually walking my daughter to school. We live about 6 minutes from where she goes to school. And now she's on her scooter. So I usually try to convince her to drive if I'm coming out here. But if she likes to scoot, it's just another quick 6 minutes home. I grab the car and I head out to Winchester to meet up with Meg.
And before Erin gets there, Meg, what's your morning look like?
So I'm more of an early riser. So is my husband and my children and the dogs. So it's different for us. We try to keep them in bed till 6:30, which is almost never the case. My little guy is transitioning out of a crib currently. So he's been, anyway, he comes in waddling like a penguin in his sleep sack. It's the cutest thing. He insists on wearing it. I'm not torturing him. And we are pretty much up. Once our puppy is woken up, we have to take him out. And today was an example of, I was very motivated by you, actually. I was like, I want to be able to say that I can work out in the morning. And I did it a couple times over the last few weeks, and it was so great. And I'm just like, why can't I do this every day? I don't understand. And today, my husband always makes the kids lunch, which is a godsend. I'm very thankful for that. He packs their lunch, puts their backpacks ready by the door with their water bottles so they're ready to go. And sometimes he has to leave. He works in Boston, so the drive or commute can be long. So I worked out today. I was, again, so excited. I took a shower right before taking the kids to school. Our nanny comes around 7:45 for Levi, and then I leave with the big kids. Ideally, I can walk my son if my husband can take my daughter to school, but they basically start school at the same time in opposite directions. So I usually need to drive him, drop him off, like circle around, drop her off. We definitely run on Dunkin', so there's usually a Dunkin' run for everybody, including Levi and our nanny. So we'll get them, and Erin, of course.
That's why took a little time to come upstairs this morning. She's like yelling, "I'm upstairs." I'm like, "I know, but I checked the counter this morning. You didn't have my Dunkin' for me."
I know. So different expectations, different, So, and then she's usually here she was here today pretty much right after I got home, which is pretty incredible after you heard the way she starts her day.
Yeah, but I didn't have to take Hadley to school today because Mike took her.
Right. Okay. So that helps for sure.
Yeah.
And then from there, we kind of hopefully get started. We're sisters, we're best friends, we fight. There are days where I have to tell her to leave my house.
She's not
Leave,
kidding.
get out. There are days where most of the time when she leaves, she's calling me before she's even down the street. Just like, so I forgot to say this. And it's just kind of how it goes, honestly. But we're trying to be productive on the days we're together, especially because things come up like we were talking about before. Someone's sick, then another person gets it. Someone doesn't have school. I mean, it's always something. And I personally just have a really hard time with I love a routine. I thrive on a routine for mental health, for productivity, like everything. And when that gets out of whack, I kind of am thrown and it's hard for me to get back in the swing. And then when I don't feel productive, it's just hard for me. So I need a plan. I like, being able to be ahead of things, which for our business has been tough, but when we have something that like a deadline, we did a marketplace in Winchester, which was amazing. We made some great connections, but it was right before Thanksgiving. So we were sort of forced in a good way to get a lot of things done for that. And so we were ahead of Thanksgiving, Christmas, and we launched a new box at that time, our B-Day box for birthdays. And it felt so good. We made all these great connections. We had great sales. People hadn't heard of us. We had new followers. And we were set up for success during that crazy time of year where you're hosting Thanksgiving and figuring out food and do you have enough tables for everyone that's coming and chairs and activities. So we have activities with our boxes. It's just I love that we can use our products ourselves. And Levi, for instance, his birthday's coming up and I'm like, we need to do like a superhero box or bag for his party. And I also think people will love it. And so that's something that, I'm starting to brainstorm. But that's also what happens. We have a ton of ideas and then you need to bring them to fruition, and then all of a sudden someone contacts you and they want you to do their party, or we want to say yes to everything. And we're also at the end of the school year, which can be a tricky time. So it's just we have these great ideas, we just always need more time, but we're also not that willing to like sacrifice our family time. And we just have to find a good balance.
Yeah, which is also, well, this is what I know we had talked about, or Ellie, I know you talk to people about it a lot, about finding the balance. And one thing that I like try to tell myself is like, there is no balance. There's never the balance between work life and family life and whatever. And also like Megan and I obviously talk shit about our husbands when we can because we're both dealing with the same stuff. It's like, well, I did all this stuff and I did all this stuff, but he feels like he did all this stuff. There's never gonna be the time where it's like, you know what? I feel like today we both did 50% of the work. Like high five to us, man. We are crushing it. We are just really equal in that. That's just never gonna happen ever. It doesn't happen in business. It doesn't happen in life. And I don't think it happens in marriage or partnership. It's very hard. And I think that's like, and I'm only saying this out loud because then maybe it will help me be better at it. Is that like, I know I'm probably always going to argue with my husband about the same stupid stuff, but yeah, there's days that he does more and there's days that I do more. And we're never going to understand what the other person does all day. Like, I'm like, wow, you sit at a desk all day and you have lunch by yourself? That sounds like a freaking dream. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to like close these deals and make it, it's like it's like the people with straight hair want curly hair and the people with
Yeah.
curly
Oh
hair
my
want straight
gosh.
hair. It's like you're just never gonna get it. So like the
Yeah.
balance word is like such a trigger for me that I'm just like, I have to let that go. I have to let it go. I have to. It's so hard. And I think that's where Megan and I try to do a very good job of like I had this stupid incident with a manicure gone wrong. And Megan came with me. I was like, we totally should have documented the whole thing on Insta story because it was so bad, it was comical. But like we're able to like be there for each other, help each other out with kids. My daughter was at a urgent care. She was fine, but like close to her house. Megan showed up with like balloons for her. Like this, she still talks about to this day. It's like, when we said we were going to start this, we wanted to make sure that it was something that it's definitely brought me closer to my nieces and nephews from seeing them so much more. And I just think like the pros outweigh the hard stuff. And as long as we keep focusing on that, then we'll be all right.
I love that. In a day that you're working together, what would you say the breakdown of that day looks like? Is there an amount of brainstorming? Is it fulfilling and making orders? Is it calls with vendors or other retail stores? What does that look like?
It really depends, I think. Right now, we're in production mode. We had some good brainstorming sessions last week, actual planning, budgeting, and now we are basically waiting for deliveries. We have some to start our next bag. I started it yesterday. Really excited about it. It's a construction theme bag. Has all kinds of stuff in it.
We haven't announced it yet.
We haven't announced it yet, so
big news.
Spoiler alert. But another one of those things that I think could be, someone can purchase one, keep it in their bag, take something out when you're out at a restaurant, at a kid's sports game, wherever. I need this stuff, honestly, all the time. I need it all the time. All of a sudden, we're in the car. I'm not even going to tell you about my day yesterday. Things happened that we were like, honestly, I was telling my husband, I'm like, can we laugh about this like now or tomorrow? And he's like, not right now, but I think soon. So I just need them in the car. I just do. And so I think what happens is we find ourselves in these pickles like yesterday where I'm like, I wish I had like a couple blocks just that somebody could play with because then they're always hungry because they're just bored.
Yeah.
So some of these ideas are coming from obviously our experiences too. And the themes I love because I think they work for parties, but also they can just work in a pinch for anybody. I don't know that the theme has to be like your favorite thing, but I know like my daughter doesn't necessarily love trucks or construction, but I know she would like this bag. So a lot of the brainstorming happens when we're not together too, which is great because then we're being productive while we're living our lives, in my opinion. I think that's part of it. Or she'll text me and I know she's like, out with the kids or something, and she'll be like, hey, idea, and just like send it to me, or like we need to reach out to X, Y, and Z. And that's kind of all the time. But like right now, for instance, it's time to just put some of these things together. We have a retailer, Tadpole in the South End, that's been so supportive of us. We're so thankful for them. And we have another shipment that they already want that we're going to put it together today and we're going to get them to her because again, she's like been such a great, wonderful partner, and they do really well in the store too. And it's a great way for people to see like what's new and what's next with us. And so for our buggy bags in particular, this will be the first time people will be able to see like in a retailer, two of them next to each other. I know she has maybe two left of the space theme, and now she'll have this other one too. So they might be like, oh, I just need two of these because keep them in the back of your car, pockets in the back seat, or throw one in your bag. Like you're just going to need it. And then a lot of times, honestly, we work out together. We're trying to follow some, kind of healthy plans for the summer. And so we're either making lunch or we're going out to eat and kind of being supportive of each other, hopefully. I think just to feel good and for mental health and honestly to stay healthy. I've been swearing by like eating healthy lately to just not get what my kids have. Whether that's helping or not, it's like working in my mind. So that's all. I mean, it works for me. And then sometimes one of my kids is home and she'll still come and we try to do our best to get stuff done. But I also just don't like doing that to my kids because it's not setting anyone up for success. So most of the time I'll be like, you know what, don't come today. I have Levi. I'm just not going to get anything done. And it's hard to get.
But I do think you're being a little hard on yourself. I think what is kind of fun in those moments for me is that like I get to hang out with them, which I know you're like, okay, we're not being productive, but I'm like, let's take one of the things that we're going to be showcasing in this next box and do it with them today. And then we like just take a video of it while we're playing,
Mm-hmm.
and then that way it's like we get a little bit of both. And I think she's being a little hard on herself, but I think we have found ways to be able to kind of do that. But also back in terms of like when she does say like, hey, today's not going to work, or like I've got my car towed for like the second time in 1 week last week. What we've been doing now that we are in a retailer is like just getting on the phone and making like 50 calls a day and being like, hey, this is who we are, women owned, sister owned. We're finding that like especially in some of these small Cape Cod stores or the islands or, downtown New York, where people are trying to just like, I just need to go out to eat. Like I wasn't planning on it. I'm in Boston running errands with my kids, and now we're going to go grab lunch or something. I just need something for them to do or to keep them happy. They've been like chugging along here with me while I'm like doing returns or whatever. Quick grab and go places that are like on the minds of parents who are out and about, where they can go and grab these and have them on hand.
That's awesome. I love that it sounds like there's a lot of inspiration from your daily lives because of the kids that you are both raising successfully, but also being able to do the activities with them and kind of learn from them as well is so cool. I feel like it's rare that the intersection of like business is exactly the same as kind of where you are in your lives, which is really cool.
Well, and it's
Totally.
interesting too to see like sometimes I feel like between our kids, we have age ranges that help us too to kind of figure out at what age can kind of do this project or activity on their own, which one kind of needs a little
Yeah.
assistance, and maybe is there a way we can in the next round find something similar that's a little more like user friendly for kids, or you want the parents involved or something. And the B-Day boxes, I know we always use those as gifts for birthdays. And then there's a piece inside that's a coloring sheet. So I always have my kids use it to color and make that as the birthday card for the child they're giving it to. And, it can be, some kids are really excited to write their name and write their friend's name and all that stuff. And some don't want to do it in my house in particular. So at least they can color it and maybe I'll write the name on it, or they can choose to write their name on it and just give it to the child and the child can color it. It has all birthday themed stuff. So I just feel like we're learning from them every day of like what they like, what's going to work, what might be good for other kids, and what's really good for parents, and like not super messy to bring to a restaurant, or little pieces that are going to drop on the floor. I think that's the thing. We're just brainstorming all the time.
I love that. After your workday, what does your early afternoon into evening look like for your family?
Okay, so my early afternoon is I get home around 2, sometimes a little bit earlier, and that's when typically has been the best part for me time of day to work out. So Megan and I signed on to do this. Like we have always been like big like beach body people where we could always get like a schedule. I need
Yeah.
a schedule. I can't like show up at the gym and be like, I don't know, today's maybe leg day. That machine looks fun. I cannot do that. I need somebody to be like, this is what you're doing. This is how long it takes. And I need it to be a half an hour. I can't do longer things, maybe unless it's a Peloton, but that's really it. So that's been and then I'm like crushed for time. So I'm like, I have to do this right now. And then take a quick shower and wake up my son at 3 and go pick up my daughter. I have to pick her up every day after school between 3 and 3:15. 2 days a week after school, she's either doing gymnastics or dance. And so we usually we can walk to both of those places from her school. Otherwise, we're like at a park or scootering with her friends or at a playground. There's like, I don't know, 6 playgrounds between school and our house where we usually are hanging out. I was lucky enough to be in a new moms group. When I can't recommend that enough, if there's anybody who is pregnant or a new mom, please join a new mom group. I did at Little Lovage Club it used to be in the South End, now it's in the Prue. Best thing I ever did. There's 10 of us, and we have all been friends now for at least 4 years. So our kids have known each other since they were 3 weeks old. 5 of them go to school together. I mean, it's like built-in siblings. It's amazing. And our parent group, we're on group text every day, all 10 of us, saying, hey, I just picked her up at school. I'm going to this park. And inevitably 4 kids are going to meet you there, and you get some socialization time for mom. Somebody's inevitably picking up that afternoon coffee or green tea, and you guys are hanging out at the park getting some socialization for mom while the kids are hopefully running each other ragged before coming home, playing a little bit inside while typically my husband is at home. He is the person who cooks, and he also packs the lunches. He cooks dinner every night and then shower, and usually there's a dance party in there. I know you were talking about favorite time of day. Our kids love family dance party, and I'm not one of the moms that could do like CoComelon in the car, so my kids have been listening to like Cardi B and Rihanna and Justin Bieber since they were very little.
I literally played Nelly for my son yesterday, and he is obsessed with the EI song, and because I also can't do CoComelon, so I'm like playing all of the edited versions of like the back like deep tracks that I used to listen to.
At least you were finding the edited ones. I mean, I think Body was a song that my daughter used to like. I mean, the beats are sick, okay?
Yeah.
And I like it. She likes it. I mean, and now my son, I mean, I just need to be sane for myself. They were scared of the dark, and my husband told them about Ghostbusters. So we listened to the Ghostbusters song like all the time. That's also a sick song, you know?
Such a good song.
Such a good song. And we actually did this thing. We occasionally still do it called Mama Mondays, where we interview moms in business and just like the same questions. So we're always getting like different feedback. And one of the moms one time said that, you know, if you're back to mental health, like if you're having a bad day and you need to just get yourself out of it, put on some music. And it doesn't matter what it is. Just put on some upbeat, happy songs. Go on Spotify. There's a million channels right there. Happy tunes. It's like they know that you're about to like have to survive the 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., you know, time of day. And it makes the kids happy. You're happy. You just dance around like an idiot for 10 minutes, and it is so fun. And that is like definitely the highlight. My husband is a terrible dancer, and it's just funny to watch him be funny with them, you know, and they love, love, love it. Family dance party. Can't recommend it enough. But that's pretty much our afternoon routine.
Love that. What's your afternoon look like, Megan?
Oh, our afternoon. So I used to also have a part-time job. So I was pretty busy working, and in addition to Buggy Box. So our nanny, we have her Monday through Friday until 1 o'clock. She has another family in the afternoons. She's lovely. She's a godsend. She helps with laundry. But most importantly, she's wonderful with my kids. Wonderful. They love her. They miss her when, you know, she's not here, or they love her. She's the best. She has been probably the number one godsend over the last 2 years, but she does leave. And Levi used to nap until about 4 o'clock. So I would have that extra time to either work out, work, take a shower, something, have some uninterrupted time like by myself. And he stopped napping a few months ago. So now that's my one-on-one time with my little buddy. And he loves to ride his scooter. He's so good at his scooter. He's does like tricks on it, everything. And so we take the dogs for a walk together, and he'll scoot, and that's a big part of our afternoon. I try to get him to snuggle me for a little bit, so just sort of I just feel like I'm exhausted. It doesn't usually work, doesn't usually last very long. So we try to just keep busy and he's happier. It's better for me to keep moving anyway. So certain days my daughter has gymnastics and so he and I will go pick her up from school, go right to gymnastics. He and I would scoot while she was at gymnastics. There's a little path behind where her class is. And so I would just feel like we were moving and busy, and that was a really good day. And then she would have lacrosse after. And so go right to that, and he would try to play too. He likes doing anything she and my
Mm-hmm.
son are doing. So he picks it up. He thinks their friends are his friends. He just throws himself in the mix there. And then both my older son and daughter do after school programs at their schools and they love them. Those have been so great for me too, especially to be a little more productive, to allow Levi to have that nap when he was. They have such good friends. They are active during those times. I mean, my son, I'll pick him up and he's sweaty to the touch. He takes sports and athletics very seriously. Dodgeball, like he doesn't hold back. So protect your face.
Yeah.
He it's just been he never wants to come home from his after school, but oftentimes he has hockey, and my husband has been a big proponent of him playing hockey and being involved. That was part of what our discussion was. I don't love having to bring all three to one's practice or game if I don't need to. So he has been supportive and helping get him to hockey, dressed for hockey, which if anyone knows is there's a lot of equipment, tying the skates, and my son loves hockey. His goal, his dream is to be in the NHL one day. He talks about it all the time. Even today, he's like, "Mom, what team do you think I'm going to make for the NHL?" We're partial to the Bruins. I said the Bruins. He said, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the Anaheim Ducks. So, I mean, these are conversations that we have. He loves Mighty Ducks also, obviously.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here
Construction is
first.
the new bag, and Trip's going to the NHL.
Yeah.
Draft class
Busy
of
with
like 2035 or something, probably.
Yeah.
just I honestly these conversations. He asked me when do I think he'll play in Canada. I just honestly, he's 7. But he's so passionate about it. I don't think I was passionate about anything when I was that age, honestly. I don't think I was. And so it's really cool. He's always playing outside. He plays with my other 2 kids, mostly my 2-year-old who loves it now. But we have a lot of activities. So I think that's part of the difference too with the ages of my kids is the number of activities and, play dates and birthday parties. We're busy with a lot of that kind of stuff. And then Trip was playing lacrosse and flag football. So those are certain days of the week as well. And that's the other thing. As they get older, they have sports, but they're also like multiple days
Mm-hmm.
a week.
I learned that
Different.
baseball was like 3 days a week, and I was like, that's an automatic no for me. We're
No.
gonna not sign up for baseball.
Baseball. I know there's always something, and it's like, how do you give your kids exposure to all of these things and find out what they like? And then I don't know. I feel like it's always something to learn. And we tried soccer this year, and he really liked it, but he didn't necessarily want to do it again. So we're kind of feeling that out. I mean, there's always a learning curve, but once we're done with sports and everything and come home, I try to feed them around 5, especially 5:30, especially this time of year when they can play outside. They just come home and still want to play outside. They're playing hockey, basketball. One of the best things we got recently was a basketball hoop, honestly, that you can move. So I can put it in like the patio and close the fence. So they're in my yard. They're not like in the driveway out in the street, but I can move it out there. But it can also go really low. So I was worried about getting a hoop and needing to lift my kids all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be able to do some of these things on their own too, some independent play, find something that they like to do, an activity. So they're out there all the time, the swing set, and then dinner will be ready. I usually make them dinner. I know this is terrible, but I usually make them like 3 different things. They're relatively picky. Right or wrong, that's what I do. And then either I start making dinner for my husband and I, or he comes home and maybe he's making dinner. We get the kids in the tub usually by 6, tub or shower, whatever it is. They're very into bath bombs. We're currently out, so we're doing showers. And then PJs, they want a treat if they ate their dinner. And then try to settle with a movie. And for as far as music goes, we're really into Shawn Mendes, Ed Sheeran, and Megan Trainor. So Tenley loves, she calls it Gucci Own, but it made you look. Megan Trainor. We love that song. So she'll be like, "Can I watch the video for Gucci Own?" And we'll put it on or we'll play her music. And Levi loves to dance, especially if anywhere there's a DJ or something. He loves it. He likes I Like to Move It, but the version from Madagascar.
Oh, that's a
That's
good
his
one.
favorite. And then Shawn Mendes is mostly my son Trip. They all like Ed Sheeran. But there's a movie, Lyle Lyle Crocodile, and Shawn Mendes is the crocodile.
Oh, really? He's
And
in that?
so the music is fantastic. We love the music. We listen to that in the car, at home, or we watch the movie 1,000 times. But that's typically bedtime. Levi, again with the no nap, has been such a transition. And there are nights where it's 6:30 and he asks to go to bed. And he just goes to bed. So that's part of the reason why we went with the no nap is he was just having a hard time getting to sleep. It was taking a long time. It was late, and then he's waking up early. So this is honestly the lesser of two evils. And then Tenley shortly after him, and then Trip is asleep, usually up in bed by 8, 8:30, depending if there's like a sports game on. He's really into watching the hockey and basketball right now. So he likes to know when those games are. He tries to push it as late as he can. But for everybody, it's typically brush teeth, potty, read books, go to bed. And then we start it all over again.
And what do your evenings look like? How do you, once the kids are asleep, how do you spend time with your partner or go need some decompression time? What does that look like?
So usually for us, I like to go to bed early. I've always been that way. Even as a kid, I would like put myself to bed. My mom will always talk about, I'll be like, I'm gonna go to bed now. But so typically by 8:30, I put the dogs out like one last time. And then once that's kind of my sign that I'm like, I either need to like shower or get ready for bed. And I'm up in bed, usually checking Instagram or something, whatever it might be, any text messages, and I'm pretty much like ready for bed. So by 9, 9:30, I like to be asleep. My husband is sometimes later than me, but up before I'm asleep, and he likes to put on West Wing. I don't love it, but I don't really care because I'm going to go to sleep. And I would love to get back into reading. That would be the perfect time to do it, but for some reason I'm just not quite there yet. But my favorite author is Ellen Hildebrand. I'm obsessed with her. Probably like
Her new one's coming out.
oh my gosh, I can't. So I was going to go to her. She had an event in Wellesley.
I saw that,
I was
yeah.
I was going to go. I actually got in, but had other plans that I thought the book thing was on the first, but you had to respond by the first. I messed that up. Anyway, I'm so excited I can still get the book though. They're going to send it to me anyway. Because basically you may get paid for it and you can't, but
Yeah.
someone can still go. So hopefully some lucky person is so excited that they get to go, even though I cannot, but I hope to catch her somewhere soon. I'm realizing how kind of dorky I am, but I feel
Just now?
relatively well. Part of it is I don't really care. I mean, that's part of it too. I don't really care.
I'm a little nervous to talk about what I do.
Yeah, it's polar opposites. But I do also have a social life, I will say. It's picked up since I've moved to Winchester, honestly, because I have a great group of friends from Charlestown. Like Erin was saying, her mom group. We all met when our oldest were like 6 weeks old. And there was a boot camp class they did up at Bunker Hill Monument. And it was
Oh,
great
yeah.
because you could just like push your stroller and you didn't,
Mhm.
I was always worried about like opening doors and pushing the stroller. Like the first few times you're trying to get out and you could just wheel it up there. You had your baby with you the whole time. It was great. And I met a bunch of lovely people that we're still friends to this day. And then there was also a like bar class we would all go to at Asana in Charlestown. And that
Mhm.
was Meg Fitzgerald was, I had Jennifer Phelan for like one class and then she was having a baby. So she was
Mhm.
gone, but that was like my intro to it. And then Meg Fitzgerald did most of the classes that my friends and I had. And I'm just grateful for those classes to be able to have like moved my body meet these great women, and we would all go for coffee right after, and we would have lunch. I would feel so productive, even though it was like I worked out, I left the house, I had lunch. But I
Yeah.
met these like great women that are still my like best friends to this day. So in terms of like a social life, someone like one in that group is generally good about booking a dinner for us every, I don't know, like 4 or 5 weeks. So I see them, and then I have some friends in Winchester that a couple of us will grab dinner, or like a couple of the couples will grab dinner and stuff, and then there's another group that sort of schedules like more regular things. But I just feel like it's becoming more of a thing for me to do things socially. It's so nice, but I still also like to go to bed.
Yeah, totally. I love a good bed.
All right, I mean, who doesn't? Erin.
Hi. Yeah, I used to work in events, and I think back, I used to actually work for the Bruins before that. I used to have events that I was going to like 4 nights a week, and that was normal. And then work 3 hockey games a week. I mean, that was bananas that like my body could function that way. I was always like, cool, I'm built for kids. Like I've gone out all night and done like woken up and gone to work, at 9:30. Totally not the same as having kids. But no, my husband and I are terrible. We stay up way too late. We don't know what we're going to do with ourselves now that Succession is over. If you haven't started watching that or finished it, I'm devastated that it's over.
It was so good.
But also I reeling with the fact that I'm like on the countdown. Wednesday night is the final reunion for Vanderpump Rules. I mean, I don't even know what to do with myself. I've even trained my kids to yell, "Goodbye, Kyle." If anybody watches, it's so good, and my kids are spot on with it. Don't worry, don't let them watch the show. But Mike and I stay up way too late. We watch trash. I watch trash. He gets me to watch sometimes nerdy videos. We watch a lot of sailing videos on YouTube of families who sail everywhere. Like I said, I have this awesome group of moms. We go out. We try to go out once a month. Shout out to South End Mamas. That's what we call ourselves. We did just do a trip to Miraval for a girls' trip.
Oh,
You can
it's
see
so nice there.
Oh my God. We have been trying so long to just do a girls' trip. We posted a reel on our Buggy Box TikTok and Instagram. It's just, if you are trying to say, we got to do this, we got to put it together, just freaking do it, man. Just do it. We went for one night and did 2 days, and it was not enough time, but just so great. So awesome to just have that time. Even though I said, like, I see my friends like every day, like at the park and at school drop off and pick up and all this, it is not the same as having time with your friends without kids pulling and nagging and changing diapers and snacks and all this stuff. It is not the same thing. So make the time for that. So that's why we really try to go out once a month. And we have a million options in the South End. Somebody just picks a different place to go. We walk there and have a nice dinner together. This week is kind of abnormal. I have an event tomorrow night for reproduction equity, honoring our good friend Kate Deneen. It's an amazing organization. She was honored as one of the honorable mention for most influential people in Boston this year. Just really amazing organization and people. So I have that tomorrow night. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to a Big Sister event, which is really cool. A lot of fun, like-minded women at a local restaurant. And I think that's like 7 to 8:30 if anybody's around, wants to go. But we're all going to be rushing home because Vanderpump Rules is Wednesday night at 9 p.m.
Can't miss that.
I know. Megan is on like a group text. Like some of her friends text me because they're just as invested in this trash as me. And Megan is like, I need to unsubscribe. I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
No, I don't watch that.
I don't either. I've been hearing about it from my sister, but I don't watch it either.
God.
Well, and some of the things that we post, people are like, wait, is that your finger that's infected? Or is it Erin's finger? Or they think I watch Vanderpump Rules and they'll be talking to me about it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't watch it. And they're like, but it's all over your Instagram. And I'm like, that's not me. That's not me.
That's awesome. So, Meg and Erin, where can people learn more about you and follow along on Buggy Box?
They can follow us at Buggy Box Co. or on our TikTok. Facebook, our website. Our website, buggyboxco.com, has a lot of, about us, kind of growing up on the Cape, a little bit about our backgrounds that we discussed here, events and retail, e-commerce, all of that, our families. We post a lot about our families on our Instagram because, again, that's, our inspiration. It's our everyday. It's where all of this kind of comes from. And, finding ways to continue to support our kids the way we were when we were like stay-at-home moms, and finding that balance that who knows if we'll ever find, but doing our best. But I would say to learn, the best way is probably our Instagram at this point. That's basically live information about what's going on with us, what we're into, what's up next for Buggy Box. We try to keep it all on there because it's the way a lot of people connect with us. I mean, when the first people were starting to, like DM us or something, and we would be like, oh my gosh, someone's DMing us. We get so excited and we want to respond and engage with people. And if we're out and people reference knowing Buggy Box Co., that's the coolest thing ever. And I know we're still really small, but it just feels good. And I think social media can be so many things. And I think what we don't want to do is have moms or parents, feel bad that they're not doing enough, or they're not, packing these incredible lunches or planning these incredible birthday parties. I think, trying to find a good balance of all of those things for caregivers, and trying to make them accessible and easy for people to do. And I think we find in our everyday special moments with our kids that are doing some of these activities, or those are the most impactful things with your kids, is like the small moments, the things you celebrate for them or with them. And read a book by Glennon Doyle, and one of the things, she used to be a preschool teacher, a kindergarten teacher or something, and she would do all of these, elaborate things with the kids, and they'd go home and tell their mom or dad basically the last thing they did that day. And she's like, well, I did all of these, incredible things, and I stayed up so late, and I made all these things, and it was like the last part of their day. So if you can find a chunk of the day where you can do like something special with your kid, even if it's like, reading a book or giving an extra hug, or, doing that one extra bike ride. Like you were saying, you took your son out for a walk this morning to encourage him to get dressed. Like he probably thought that was so cool and like the best thing. And I think trying to, instead of focusing on, you have to be this amazing, over the top parent all day long, like you can find this small piece of your day and make it really special with your child. And you can break up these bags or boxes and do something every day, or save it for the weekend, and they're on theme. Like I know people were stressing out about leprechaun traps for St. Patrick's Day, and our whole kit was about building one. But you also don't have to, like, take it apart and do these little pieces of it with your child, and feel like you're doing something on theme, something they can celebrate. And eventually they'll, learn that you did this for them, especially if it's, holiday and it's not supposed to be you. I try to keep that in mind, where the days can feel long and overwhelming. Try to have like the special moments.
And the special moments, I just want to say, in addition to that, I just was reading a blog that was like, the special moments can be the walk that you wanted to do anyways. And I have been stressing out because I have these times on Wednesday and Friday with just my son. And I'm like, what can I do special today? What can I, and then the other day, my car got towed. And I was like, oh my God, this whole plan I had of like all these fun things to do with him. He thought the tow lot was the coolest thing he's ever done in his whole life, and taking an Uber there. And I had read this blog that was like, live your life with your kid. Like I had to go to Target and run errands, and I realized I had never brought my 2-year-old to Target.
It was like the coolest thing ever for him, probably.
He thought it was freaking Disney World. I went to put him in the cart, and he sat sideways because he had never been in a cart in a store to know to put his legs through the front. I mean, he thought the whole thing was the best. So doing those everyday things with your kids and just taking them along for the ride, they feel special that they're helping you like get things done or whatever. It's like, I need to do that more. Take that pressure off of yourself and that's what like the boxes do too. You just keep them on hand, but like just living your regular life and doing what you were going to do anyways with them makes it a lot easier. And I know Megan gives me a hard time about like, we don't want to be this like, elaborate birthday party person. Like, yeah, that's what I did. I went way over the top for my daughter's 4th birthday party. But at the same time, I also like showed on Instagram, my self-care was getting a manicure, and I ended up in urgent care getting my finger split open. And I got my car towed twice in 1 week. Like, this is life. Life is messy. We're messy, and it's okay. It's okay. Right, Megan?
I love that. Life is messy, and this is life.
I took a picture this morning. I got in the car with my kids, and I'm like, why is my hand blue? And like, I don't know if you can still see it. There's like blue on my finger. But I was like, we didn't do arts and crafts this morning. I just don't even know why it's blue. So it just is what it is.
Well, we had water leaking out of our car this morning, so it was a hot mess too. But yeah, it's life.
Why not? Why not? Of course, it's a Monday.
Yeah. Meg and Erin, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I was so excited to talk to you and really look forward to see what Buggy Box does in the future. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.